Phil is the most evil character in The Sopranos, and today we're going to talk about why he's so despicable and why he outranks Ralphie as the most hated character in the show for me personally. Imagine you're Phil, and you just did 20 years in the can defending the legacy of a name that was changed to Leotardo, sounding like a stupid ballet dancer name. And when you return to your gang family, you find that it's being run by this idiot named Tony Soprano who's never even done a second in the can. And then after that, his animal of a cousin kills your brother. A kid at the age of 46. And a saint nonetheless. Just kidding. Billy Leotardo is terrible, and Phil Leotardo is also terrible. And that's why today we're going to be talking about why Phil was such a despicable character, despite still holding the loyal mob values that characters like Tony and Christopher and Pussy all claim to have. Now, a little bit of background on Phil before he comes into the show is that Phil has always held a kind of grudge against his name. See, Phil's a really prideful man, and he really cares about legacy and honor and certain things like that. But when his family immigrated to the United States from Sicily, they changed their name from Leonardo, a very respected name in Sicily, to Leotardo, which he sees as a stupid name. It's like a ballet dancer thing. And he sees it as dumb and stupid, and he thinks they're idiots for it. And he really doesn't like the fact that they changed this name because he's a man who cares about legacy, which makes it extra sad that he reveals this fact at his brother's would-be 47th birthday, basically showing that his legacy is gone. His brother's dead, and he's the only one who can carry the torch now, even though he's 66. Now, as Phil likes to bring up many times in the show, he did 20 years in the can. And it's very heavily implied that Phil might have been a little hypocritical about hating Vito for being gay, because there's some evidence to suggest that his favorite meal in prison might have been hot dogs. And he might have liked the hot dog buns with a little bit of mayo on them, if you're catching my drift. Now, when he finally does get out of the can, all of the other crime families have a certain fear towards him, because during his time in the Lupertazzi crime family, he developed a reputation as a fierce enforcer. People even say that he had an estimated 27 hits to his name, and he doesn't care if you're a guy or a girl, or a police officer or a civilian. He'll kill you nonetheless, as shown by him ordering the hit on this one female police officer who was found out to be a snitch. They didn't just kill her either, they did much worse things, showing off Phil Leotardo's sexual deviancy in times of punishment. He shows these same traits later when he punishes Vito for being gay. He also worked with Johnny Soprano, the DeMeo family capo, back in the day before he went to the can, and was also said to be working with his associate, Hesh Rabkin. Eventually, the cops start cracking down hard on organized crime, and Phil is one of the first people taken down in this, along with dozens of other made guys. So Phil's charged with racketeering charges after this, and despite the bad sentence that he's sure to be given, he doesn't give up any of the other capos or give any information. And this is a real point of pride towards Phil, as he brings up this fact many times in his life. As everyone's heard, Phil Leotardo, not a peep, 20 years in the can. It's back into the story. Carmine Lupertazzi, my personal favorite boss, is already dead. And we see Phil giving his condolences to him at the funeral. But sadly, little Carmine and Johnny Sack end up in a fight because of this. See, little Carmine notices that on his dad's finger is an Opus Dei rosary, which is basically a rosary for a church that Ginny Sack really is into. But little Carmine doesn't care about it, and he knows his dad didn't care about it, so why is it on him? He pieces together that it must be because Johnny Sack put it on my father's finger. And so he goes to confront Johnny Sack about it, and Johnny Sack basically says that his father would have wanted it. He was getting really into the religion at the end, and he really would have understood. Trust me, I was like a son to your father. You even said that yourself. At this point, little Carmine proceeds to take that statement back and to tell him to get that ring the fuck off of his father's finger. Which, in my opinion, I'm on little Carmine's side. It's his father's funeral. You can't be messing with things like that on his father's funeral. Not to mention the fact that I also kind of believe that him like betraying himself as like a father-in-law to Carmine Lupertazzi Sr. is kind of a power play. And the reason he's doing that is to put himself up as the next heir, as the next person to be able to take the throne. Because He was practically a son to Carmine Lupertazzi Sr. Shouldn't he be in charge? He has more experience. Shouldn't he be in charge? So kind of comes to me as a power play a little bit as well. And after this, it sets off a war for the throne. Basically, little Carmine's fighting Johnny Sack on who should be able to be the next boss. Phil ends up joining Johnny Sacrimoni's side on this. And he actually kills people for Johnny Sacrimoni during this little war that they had. He tries to kill Lorraine Caluzzo at a bar, and he basically puts a phone book to her chest. It's hilarious. She's like begging them, don't kill me, I'll suck your cock, I'll do anything. She's begging them. It's sad if it was real life, but, in the context of the show, hilarious. And he puts a phone book to her chest. Now, he says the reason he puts the phone book is to muffle the sound of the gun when it comes out, but it muffles everything because the bullet does not make it through the book. And he checks it out afterwards. It only made it to the R's. So Lorraine Caluzzo is free to go. That is until his brother and Joe Peeps later come to her house and kill her and her boyfriend. Like I said, they are some terrible people, the Leotardos. In my opinion, Phil Leotardo is actually much worse than Ralph Cifaretto. And this is because Phil Leotardo is the type of person to inflict terrible pain and punishment on you. And Ralphie Cifaretto definitely is that type of person as well. He is also the type of person to enjoy pain and punishment inflicted on himself. And I don't know why, but that shame and that hatred towards himself just makes him a little bit better in my eyes. At least the guy's kind of self-aware. He hates himself just as much as we all hate him. But he's still a horrible person, obviously. Whereas Phil Leotardo loves himself, absolutely, even though he's terrible. He's an evil, evil man. He's killed 27 people before the show even began. Him personally killing 27 people is insane. But then when you think about it, imagine how many people he ordered the death of. And those people were only killed on his command. It's got to be at least 60, 70. He was doing it for years. I'm guessing it's probably in the hundreds. And that's just really insane to think about for me. I mean, I know Ralph was probably doing stuff like that as well. But I don't know. Comment in the comments section if you disagree or not. But me personally, I found Ralphie Cifaretto to be a slightly better person. I think another reason I like Ralphie Cifaretto a little bit better is because he's not really known to have any sexual, evilness to him. Except in the fact that he likes weird sexual things done to himself. But he doesn't, as far as I know, seem to do them to others. He mostly likes having other people just degrade him. That's his thing. Whereas, at least 2 times in the show, Phil has shown that he is willing to violate someone. And that's just, it makes you it makes you plenty worse, in my opinion. Now, I do know Ralphie does have Tracy have sex with other guys, but that's very different than shoving a pool cue up someone's ass, in my opinion. One is way different than the other to me. Now, at some point, Tony gives some money to Phil, and Phil does not pay him back this money. And so Tony ends up running Phil off of the road with it, leading him to hit into another car, hurting his neck really badly because he wouldn't pay him back his money. He even goes up to him afterwards while he's in his car in pain and starts yanking at his neck, really getting in there just to add a little bit more pain for his own personal pleasure. Now, eventually, Tony realizes this was a big mess up, and it's going to cause a lot of friction between New York and New Jersey. So he decides to get Phil's car fixed for him, at which point Phil is just complaining the whole time about how my seat's not at 12 o'clock. At which, if Christopher was there, he'd be telling him, if it's at 3 o'clock, you better get the hell out of there. But Tony Blendetto tries out the chair, and he says the chair's fine. Now, you remember that guy Joe Peeps who killed Lorraine Caluzzo earlier? Well, he's killed himself during this war by that animal Blendetto. So, up till this point, little Carmine's technically been the leader of the other faction, But the real power behind the faction is Angelo Gurepe and Capo Rusty Milio. Little Carmine's just more of a puppet for these two. So after finding Joe Peeps dead, Phil and his brother Billy decide to kill Angelo Gurepe in retaliation. Even when Angelo tells Phil, "We go way back, man. Are you really gonna kill me?" He does it cold-heartedly. He don't care one bit. Now, Tony Blundetto, the guy who killed Joe Peeps, was close friends with Angelo because of their time together in prison. And so he was very upset by the fact that the Leotardo brothers had killed him. And so he decided to take revenge on them himself, planning to kill both Phil and his brother Billy, but sadly only killing Billy, leaving Phil filled with rage, ready to kill that animal Tony Blundetto. Basically, he's hunting for Tony B for the rest of Tony B's time alive. He's just ready to torture him and hurt him in the most violent ways possible for killing his young 46-year-old brother. Which, honestly, kind of understandable. I mean, even if you kill a guy's friend, if he then kills your brother, you have to kill him at that point. Like, all bets are off. Gloves thrown on the floor, we gotta go. Him getting revenge for his brother's death might be the only moral thing he's done in the show. Tony protects Tony B for as long as he can, but Phil ends up threatening even Christopher's mother. And so Tony realizes this has gone on long enough, and he needs to give up his own cousin, or else Phil's gonna go insane. Bill even beats up a Sopranos associate named Benny Fazio. And so all of the Sopranos workers are not fine with this, and they're starting to complain to Tony, and Tony realizes he's got to take measures into his own hands. This leads Tony to kill his own cousin to avoid him getting tortured. A truly sad ending for Tony B, who was just barely out of jail. This really pissed off Phil that he didn't get the chance to really get the tools out on Tony B. But eventually Tony and Phil make peace, which is shortly interrupted by Johnny Sack being arrested. This leads to Phil being the acting boss of the Lupertazzi family, leading right into season 6, where Phil becomes the ultimate villain of The Sopranos, waging a war on the entire Soprano family. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is part 1 of 2 of a Phil analysis, and I really hope you guys had a great time with it. And if you enjoyed it, be sure to tune into the next one and leave a comment down there in the comment section. I'd love to talk with you guys. See ya. Bye.